Hey, what is up everyone, Omogonix here and welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. So this is, I'm pretty sure, part 9, I think, of my horror game tutorial series where I teach you guys how to make a first-person horror game in Godot. So the first thing we're going to be doing in this part is we are going to be making the fridge and the cupboard openable, the food cupboard here. So how about we go ahead and do that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the fridge scene first. And since the fridge and the food cupboard are pretty much just the same thing, just with different materials, when we do the fridge functionality, I'm pretty much just gonna like copy and paste it over to the food cupboard pretty much. So yeah. So now here's what we're gonna do. So as you can see here, we have our top and bottom doors. So with this top door here, I'm gonna grab the base mesh itself, then I'm gonna grab the handle. Then I'm just going to right click, go reparent to new node, and now we're going to create a new node 3D, and this is going to be for this door. So I am going to call this top door. Now I think it would have actually been smarter to instead actually just make a node 3D the child of the normal fridge itself, because now I've got to reposition this node 3D here. So as you would have just seen in the hierarchy just then, what I did was I grabbed the top door stuff and I just unparented it from the top door node, because I just realized that where this node spawns when I first added in isn't exactly the best place, you know, because I want it more over here because it's going to act like a hinge, you know what I mean? So yeah. Alright, so there we have our top door hinge now. So now what I can do is I can just rechild these to the parent here. There we go. And now when I rotate, as you can see, the door rotates just as normal. So now we're going to do the same thing here with the bottom one. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm just going to select the fridge here, right click, add child node, node 3D. There we go. So now this is going to be the bottom door of the fridge, so I'm just going to move it to the left here, like a hinge. And then I'm just going to call this bottom door, bottom underscore door. And then I'm going to select these nodes here, these two meshes, and then make them children of the bottom door. And now as you can see, when I rotate this, it now rotates just as normal. So if you want to as well, you can put like, you know, shelves and stuff in your fridge and food cupboard. I haven't actually done that yet, but I will probably do that later on. I don't know if I will in this part though, but yeah. Alright, so now that we've got the actual, you know, functionality there, with, I mean, well, not the functionality, but now that we've got the actual nodes set up, I should say, now we can actually do the animations. So first up, we're going to do the top door animation. So I'm going to right click, add child node, animation player. There we go. So now we're going to create an animation, just call it open. And for this as well, we are going to be reusing the door script again. So yeah, we're going to be reusing the door script again for the opening and closing of these fridge doors here. But anyway, so with our open animation, what we're going to do is we're going to select our top door node, and make sure that you have selected your animation player beforehand, so then you actually have the keys show up here next to your properties. So now with the rotation, you just want to select the key. Yes, we do want to create a reset track. Go create. And then at the 1 second mark, I'm then going to rotate it by maybe 90 degrees or negative 90 degrees. There we go. And then we go keyframe again. And then I'm going to actually change the interpolation mode to cubic to make it smoother. And boom, there we go. Now we have our top fridge door opening animation. And then what's going to happen is it will then play backwards when closing. Alright, so now we're going to do the same thing here with the, but this time with the bottom door. So what I want to try to do is I want to copy this animation player, make it a child of this, and see if it works that way. Let's see. And it does. Well, you guys could just, so once you do the top door animation, what you can do is you can just literally copy your animation player, paste it as a child of your bottom door, and then boom, as you can see, it just works just like that. So there we go. So one thing which we don't have at the moment is we don't actually have collision for the doors of our fridge. Now, what I'm thinking is that we could actually like drag back the collision of this just a bit, just so then the player can actually interact with the door here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually select this this cube here, the cube mesh of the top door. Then I'm going to go add child node, static body 3D, and then we're going to go add child node collision shape 3D, and then this will be a box shape, and boom. So now hopefully this is the actual like I don't think this is the actual scale of a regular box shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scale this out, just so then it's the shape of the door. And there we go. Hopefully that's alright now. Yeah, I got to adjust this collision shape a bit more. Alrighty, and there we go. So that there is the top door. So basically when the player interacts with this collision shape here on the top door, it will then cause the top door to open or close. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to call this draw, and the reason as to why is because with how the draw hierarchy is in the draws scene, I think that the way we can get it to open and close would be, you know, very similar to the draws, so we wouldn't actually have to add any extra code at all. So yeah, that's what we're going to try with that. And then with the bottom door, we're going to pretty much do the exact same thing. So we're going to actually add a child node, static body 3D, and then add a child node of that. It's going to be a collision shape 3D, box shape, and now let's just scale out this collision shape if you need to. Alright, draw. And there we go. Alrighty, so now we should have that all set up now. All we need to do now is we just need to add in the door scripts to the bottom and top door here. So select your bottom and top door nodes. So just select one at a time, of course. Or wait, no, we could actually select both and add a script to both at the same time, actually. So you just want to select them both, and then go where it says scripts, empty, and then go quick load and add door. And there we go. And now as you can see here, when you select your bottom and top door individually, they both have the door script. And yeah, so what I want to do now is I want to try this out and see if it all works just as intended. So let's go do that. Alrighty, so now what we're going to do is we are going to test out the fridge. Oh, and I just realized something too. I have the task turned off because I was taking a screenshot for the thumbnail. So if you're wondering where the task thing is in the top right, well, it's because I disabled it for a screenshot I was taking, but I'll turn it on afterwards. Alrighty, so now, the moment of truth. And boom, it all works. Yep, just as intended. So as you can see, I can now open up the top and bottom fridge doors, just like that. Alright, so now we're going to do the exact same thing with the food cupboard doors, and it's going to be a lot easier this time since, you know, we already just did it with the fridge, and it's pretty much almost a copy and paste, so let's get to it. Alrighty, so first off, of course, I am actually going to re-enable the task UI. Just going to, boop, re-enable that. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to now open up the food cupboard scene. There we go, and boom. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to do the exact same thing with what we did with the fridge. We're going to go add child node, node 3D. This is going to be for the top door, so we want to do the top door hinge and the bottom door hinge. Alright, top underscore door, select these meshes, make them children, and there we go. So now, same thing with the bottom door. Alright, so now when we rotate here, as you can see it now rotates. Alright, so now we're going to be doing some copy and pasting. So I'm going to go to my fridge, grab the drawer static body 3D here. Then I'm going to go onto cube 4 on my top drawer, paste it as a child. And now this collision shape, yep, it's the exact same size as the fridge one. And since the fridge and the food cupboard are the same size, this all works perfectly. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom drawer as well. Copy that. Then I'm going to go to cube 3 on the bottom door, paste, and now we've got our static body 3D as a child of the mesh of the bottom door. Then we're going to go to the animation player of the top door, copy that, and we're going to paste it as a child of the top door here. And now, yep, it all works. And then we do the same exact thing here, and yep, it all works. And boom, just like that, it all works. So yeah, very nice. And then we're going to select the top and bottom doors, add in the scripts, door.gd, and boom, there we go. So yeah, that was very satisfying and quick. Oh, I made a minor mistake. So with the food cupboard here, one thing which I actually forgot to do is I forgot to drag this bit back. There we go. Alright, so now we should actually be able to interact with the doors. And now we can open it. And boom. So as you can see, we can now open up the fridge and food cupboard. So the reason as to why I'm adding in this function for both the fridge and the food cupboard is because I want the password to be able to have a chance to spawn inside of here. So yeah. So now we've got all the drawers openable. Should I do the oven? You know, it's gonna be easy, you know what I mean? So I could even do the oven as well maybe in this part. I mean, I didn't have it planned, but you know, I'll see. Alrighty, so I've thought about it and I've decided, you know what, let's make the oven openable as well. Why don't we do random position inside of the oven now? Alrighty, so here's what we're going to do. So with the oven, what I'm going to do first off is I'm going to go click on my parent node here, go add child node, node 3D, and we're of course going to do a door hinge. So this is pretty much just going to work the exact same way as everything else. You have a hinge, then you add your collision as a child of the actual door that you want to open, and then you just you know, you rename that collision to drawer. You add a script, you add the door script onto the parent hinge node, and yeah, and then it pretty much just works. Alrighty, so there's our hinge. I'm just going to rename this to hinge. And then I'm going to select the parts of the door here, so that includes this little glass part, this, and there we go. Then I'm just going to make that a child of the hinge, and there we go. So now, yeah, there we go. Alright, there we go. That's how we want it to be. One thing which I want to do as well is I want to actually make this transparent, just so then the player can look through it. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense now, for the player to be able to look through there. Alrighty, so now we're going to need to add some collision. So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into my normal static body here of the oven. Then we're going to move back the collision a bit here, just so then we can allow the player to actually, you know, have the raycast hit the door. And then we're going to create a child node of this part of the door here, cube 7. It's going to be a static body 3D. Gonna rename it to drawer, of course, and we do need to add in the animation player as well. Do not worry, I will be doing that. So now we just gotta scale this. Alrighty, there we go. So now we're gonna do a child of the hinge animation player. Gonna call it open, of course. There we go. And now with your new animation made, you want to select your hinge, go to transform the rotation, create animation, and we're going to rotate this downwards. Go save the keyframe, change the interpolation mode if you want to, and then boom, there we go. So now all that's left to do is to actually go to the hinge here and add the door script. Alrighty, so here we have our oven. Alright, you guys ready? And boom, as you can see, it opens. Alright guys, so what I'm going to be doing now is I'm actually going to be adding in more random password positions. So where I'm going to be adding some more is I'm going to be adding a few in the fridge, the food cupboard, one in the oven, and I want to even try to do a few under the beds as well, since I think that would be a cool spot to hide some. So yeah, anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go now add in some more random positions. Alrighty, so I've added in a bunch more random positions, as you can see here, 21, 22, 23, all the way to 29. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to find my code paper, wherever that is. I think, yeah, it's literally just right here, I missed it. But yeah, so since I've got, I think, 9 new positions, I'm now going to add in 9 new ones here. Now let's add in those new random positions. Alrighty, and there we go. Alrighty, so what I've just decided to do is I've just decided to position my my new positions a bit better. And the reason as to why is because, well, unlike the drawers where the code paper will be moving with them, with the the cupboards and well, with the cupboard, the fridge, and the closet and underneath the bed, since those things don't move, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making it so the code paper, which is a rigid body at the start of the scene, if its position equals to something which isn't inside of a drawer, it will just become a static body straight away, and it won't be able to like interact with anything basically. So yeah, so what I've done is I've positioned these new random positions like closer to the ground of where I want them to be, so the fridge and all that. And we're going to be doing some new coding as well to go with this. So let's go into our code paper. So one thing that you do want to keep in mind as well, so let's select the code paper. Keep in mind of which positions are for your drawers. So I'd suggest you have all your drawer positions all at the highest point of your hierarchy in your array, and then have anything which isn't a drawer basically, and anything that isn't a drawer position basically below that. So where my non-drawer position start is at the 14 range. So basically what we're going to do is in our ready function where we do the chance for which position will be chosen, here's what we're going to do. So we're going to go var chance, of course, rng.randyRange, then we choose the position. And then after the chance is chosen, what we'll be doing is we want to go beneath here. And first off, we want to go if chance over 13. And now you don't have to do 13. 13 is just what I'm doing because that's the number of draw positions that I have above the other positions. So that's why I'm doing 13, but you can just do whatever number you want to. And of course, you don't even need to do this extra functionality in the first place. I'm just doing this because, I need to for, with how I'm doing the positions and stuff. But yeah, so if chance is over 13, what will happen is I'm actually going to disconnect the body entered function. I mean the body entered signal, because right now it's currently connected up for hit obj, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to disconnect the body entered signal. So then we're going to go callable, and we're basically going to disconnect hit obj. So what callable does is this basically, it just grabs the function that you want to. So we're grabbing the function from ourself. So, the object that this script is attached to, which is the code paper. And then we're removing hit obj from body entered. So yeah. So that's just so then that, doesn't play. And then we want to do freeze equals true straight away. And yeah, so there we go. Alright, so we are going to test out the password stuff soon to make sure that the positions and stuff are all working right, of course. But first off, what I want to do is I want to actually add a zoom function for the player. So let's say, for example, you want to get a good look at something, like the code paper, for example, but you find it a bit hard to get a look at, so you might need to, zoom in. Well, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding in a zoom function, so then we can actually allow the player to be able to zoom in on things they want to get a closer look at. So what we're going to do is we're going to go project settings, and we're going to add a new input to the input map. So you want to go add new action. I'm going to call this zoom. Then I'm going to click on the plus icon, and then we want to go get the right mouse button. Since well, you can use whatever button you want to for the zoom, of course, but I'm just going to be using the right mouse button since that's what I think would be a good button for the zoom, but again, you can use whatever you like. Alrighty, so now that we've got that done, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go into my camera 3D here, and I'm going to create a whole new script for it. So I'm going to call this FOV. I'm just going to call this FOV. I'm going to save it inside of my player script. Inside of my player folder, And there we go. Alrighty, so now here's what we're going to do. So in our process function, oh wait, no, first off we should actually create a variable. So I'm going to create a variable here. We're going to call it zooming, and it will equal to false at first. So now we're going to go if input dot is action pressed zoom and not zooming. So basically, if our player is holding down the input for the zoom action and zooming it equals to false, then what will happen is zooming will equal to true. And then we're going to copy this, paste it underneath, and then if not input is action just press zoom and zooming will equal to false. Okay guys, so I actually thought of a much better way to do this. Hold on, I'm actually going to get rid of this variable here. So I'm going to be changing up the zoom variable, and what I'm going to be changing this to is wanted_FOV. And the reason as to why is because I just realized a much better way of actually doing this. So with the not zooming, we're going to remove this, and instead we're going to be changing, so if input.isAction pressed zoom and wanted_FOV not equal to 30, then what we'll be doing is wanted_FOV equals 30. And again, you can do your wanted FOV for your zoom as whatever you want. Just make sure that by default you have your default FOV, so mine's 75. Make sure that you have it equal to whatever your default FOV is at the start. And then so we're just going to copy this line here, then we're going to remove this zooming line, and wanted FOV not equal to 75, so this is if we're not zooming. Then what will happen is wanted_FOV will equal to 75. And then so what we're going to be doing down here is we're actually going to be lerping the FOV, and this will make it so much more smoother, because what I was going to do is I was going to do like some very rough zooming, you know, but then I just thought to myself, wait a second, I could just lerp the zooming and, you know, it'd actually be a lot more better. So yeah, that's what we're doing. So we're going to be calling this var, so we're going to be making a new variable. We're going to call this a wanted value, and then we're going to go lerp, and then what we want to do here is we're going to go FOV, and then we want to lerp this to the wanted FOV, and the weight of it will be basically, so what the weight is this will basically be the speed at which the FOV will zoom in or zoom out as well. So with the weight, I think I'm going to set it to maybe 0.25 just for now, or maybe just 0.2 for now. So what we're doing with the lerp, so what lerp does, in case you don't know, it's a way to like smooth out the positions and rotations of things. I guess one good way to explain lerping is like, you know how when we use the animation player and you can change the interpolation mode from the linear to cubic, and how linear looks more rougher but cubic looks a lot more smoother? That's basically what lerping is it basically helps smoothen things out, whether it's the positions or the rotations of things. So that's why we're using lerping here. And what we're doing is we are lerping the FOV of our player camera to the wanted FOV, so the value of what we want our FOV to equal to at the weight of 0.2. So what we do here is we do if FOV not equal to wanted FOV, then we can actually do FOV equals wanted value. We could even actually put the wanted value thing down below here as well. And yeah, boom. So now we should actually go test it out, and hopefully it all works as intended. Invalid type in utility function lerp cannot convert argument 2 from int to float. So what we're going to need to do is we need to put 0.0 at the end of our wanted FOV here. So then it actually equals to a float instead of an integer. And now let's actually go test that out again. And as you can see, it now works. So now if you want to look at something from a bit far away, you totally can. Hey, there it is. Alright, so I found the code. It is right here inside of the oven. So as you can see, it is 2233. 2233, and it works. And boom. Alright, so next up what we're going to be doing in this part is we are going to be adding some smooth rotation to our player flashlight. So right now our flashlight is just simply connected up to the player's head. However, I want it to actually have some smooth rotation, so then as we turn around and we look around our scene, then the flashlight, it has a much more smoother and more realistic looking rotation to it. So here's what we're going to do. So first off, we're going to cut the flashlight from the player's head. So we're going to cut it, and then we're going to go into the level scene, and then we're just going to paste it as a child of the level scene itself. So no longer is the flashlight attached to the player, it is now its own separate thing. So yeah, you don't have to do anything with the flashlight right now, just keep it as is. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a new script for the flashlight. So we're going to go empty, new script, and we're going to save this into the scripts folder, flashlight, and there we go, and boom. So now before we do get started on with this script, we need to go back to the player for a second. So with our flashlight, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making its position equal to the head position. But what we're going to be doing is just like with the camera 3D, when we're zooming and zooming out the FOV, we're going to be using the lerp functionality in order for us to actually smoothen out our flashlight's rotation. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our flashlight script. In fact, hold on, sorry guys, something which I just realized is that when it actually comes to lerping, we should actually probably add a physics function here in the, and this is in my FOV script by the way, so I'm just adding a little change to the FOV script where our lerp is actually in the physics function just because I think it makes more sense for it to be there. So yeah. So when lerping things, it is a good idea to usually do it in your physics process function because it is usually physics related. So here in the flashlight function, what we're going to be doing is we will be keeping the process function. So we're going to be doing global underscore transform dot origin equals get underscore tree. Actually, wait, no. What we'll do is we'll actually to make this easier for us, go at onReady, so we're going to create a variable as soon as the scene starts for the player, get underscore tree dot current underscore scene dot get underscore node player slash head. So what we're doing is we're grabbing the player head. So global underscore transform dot origin equals to player dot global underscore transform dot origin. There we go. So now let's do a physics process function for the lerping. So what we're going to do is we're going to lerp the rotations of this flashlight. So I'm going to go var rot underscore y, var rot underscore x, and var rot underscore z. So with rot underscore y, we're going to be doing lerp underscore angle. So lerp underscore angle is usually used for rotation and stuff. I mean, that's what I use it for anyway. So now we're going to go from. So this will be our rotation. So rotation underscore degrees dot y, and then we're going to be getting player dot rotation underscore degrees dot y, and then we want to do our weight. So for the weight for this, as an example, I'm going to be doing 0.2, and then we're going to copy this and we're just going to paste it into the rot x and rot z ones as well. So let's just change this one to x and then this one to z, and there we go. So now what we do is we just do rotation underscore degrees dot y equals to rot underscore y, and then we're just going to copy this, paste it underneath like that, and do x and z. Alright guys, so I've made a few changes to this script here, so I was just doing a bit of testing, and well, as I was testing I realized that the flashlight position and rotation wasn't changing. So what I did was I removed the underscore degrees from the global rotation underscore degrees.y.x and .z lines, so now it's just global underscore rotation for both the player and flashlight rotation. I just have it as global underscore rotation instead of global underscore rotation underscore degrees. So yeah, and the reasons for why is because this just works better. And how about I go ahead and test it out and show you guys. So let's go play. And boom, here we are. So as you can see, now when I look around with my flashlight, it actually moves smoothly around. So now it's a lot more smoother, and it doesn't just, follow the player's head in like a very linear direction at all times. Now it's actually more smoother. Alrighty, so since it's darker in here, you can actually see this better. So as you can see, the flashlight is smoothly following along with the player. Alright, so the last thing we're going to be doing in this part before we do end it, is we're actually going to be making a door for the basement. And basically what will happen is the player will need to find a key for this door. And then when they find the key, they can then open up the door and enter the basement. So the reason as to why I'm doing this is just to add a bit of extra playtime to the game, because otherwise it would be kind of quick if the player could just go down in the basement straight away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a door, then I'm going to make a key which will be randomly placed around the first story of the house, and yeah. So how about now we get right into it. So what we're going to do first off is I'm actually going to go into my house scene first of all, because we're in the level scene right now, but I want to go into the house scene right now, just the regular house scene itself. Alrighty. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to make a trapdoor for the basement. So let's go into my house scene, we're going to go add child node, and it will be a mesh instance 3D. So the reason as to why I'm doing this in the house scene is just so that I can, correctly see what the trapdoor is going to look like. So I'm just going to make this a box mesh, and then we're now going to put this into the shape of like a trapdoor that you would see for a basement. Alrighty, and there we go. So that there is going to be our trapdoor. Alright, so now I'm going to actually create a child node, static body 3D. Oh, and then we're going to make a child node of the static body 3D. It'll be a collision shape 3D. And a box mesh, of course, and boom, there we go. Alrighty, so now we're going to go create a hinge for this thing. So I'm actually going to create a child node of the mesh instance, call it node 3D. And then we're going to unparent it by just dragging it out from underneath. And then we're just going to move this hinge over here to the side of our door, whichever side you want it to open from. There we go. I'm just going to rename this to trapdoor hinge, just so we know what it is. Then we're going to make this mesh a child of this. And now, as you can see, when I move the trapdoor hinge, it goes up just like that. So yeah. Alrighty, so now I'm actually going to apply a material to it. So I'm thinking, something like a bit of a wooden material. So right now I've just added the drawers material, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it unique. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and change the UV scale of it. So yeah, I think we can do something like that. Alrighty, so now that we've got our trapdoor, let's now do the handle. Alright, so what I'm actually going to do for this handle is I want to grab the handle from the fridge or food cupboard, since, they've got the sort of handle that I want, which I'm going to use for the trapdoor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my fridge scene. I'm going to go fridge. And now we're just going to grab this handle, just copy this, just go copy. Go into my house scene, trapdoor hinge, paste as a child. And there we go. So now we have our handle. Now I am going to have to change the scale of the handle since, the scale isn't all that correct right now. In fact, with the trapdoor hinge... Oh, I just realized something. Okay, hold on. So with the trapdoor hinge, I am actually going to unparent everything right now, because I just made a small mistake. Make sure that your trapdoor hinge on its scale is just a 1 on the X, Y, and Z. If it's anything else, then it might cause issues. So just make sure that the scale of your trapdoor hinge is a 1 on all X, Y, and Z axis. So yeah. Alright, now let's just make this a child again, and there we go. Alrighty, so here is going to be our handle. So just going to scale this. Alright, so I think this might be fine for a handle. We can of course change it later on if need be. But yeah, I think for now that's alright. I might even add a lock later on as well, just so then we can physically see that, oh, it requires a key. But I think for now we're just going to leave it like this. One last bit of detail that I want to do as well is I want to add like little metal hinges, like actual physical metal hinges onto the door here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this this handle here. And we're just going to move it over here. I'm going to make it not a child of the trapdoor hinge, so it's just going to be a separate thing. And we're just going to move this here. So this is going to be like sort of like the metal hinge that helps hold the trapdoor down, I guess you could say. Just going to move this up here. Then I'm going to have a few of these around, I think. And there we go. And as you can see, this is how it looks when rotating. So these thingies here don't actually move, they just stay. So now I'm going to grab these meshes here, and then grab the trapdoor hinge, and then create a new parent node. It's just going to be called trapdoor, just because this is where all of the trapdoor stuff is going to be contained. And boom. There we go. Alrighty, so now that we have our trapdoor completed, we should now actually make the key. So let's go do that. So we're going to go create a new scene. It's going to be a new 3D scene. I'm just going to call this key. I'm going to make a child node of the mesh instance. I'm going to call it... Alright, so now go to mesh instance. New cylinder mesh. Just going to turn down the radial segments. Oh, accidentally just turned down something real low. There we go. Okay, so now I'm just going to flatten this a bit, like that. Then we're going to get out another new mesh instance. It will be a cube this time, which I'm going to do. There we go, new box mesh. Alrighty. Then we just turn down the scale of that. Make this thinner. Then we move this in, just like that. Alright, now we're just going to duplicate this. Move this in, just like that. And there we go. Just need to flatten that a bit more, and boom. Alright, so now we just move this out, just like that. Alrighty, so this here is going to be the key for the basement door. I'm also going to apply a material as well. We'll do just the metal material here. Alrighty, so now I've got our materials applied, and now we just need to do the actual key collider, so then we can interact with it. Alright, so since this key's position randomizing is going to be pretty much the exact same as the code papers, we are going to need to, make this key in a very similar way to the code paper. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click onto our parent node here, go right click, then we're going to go add, then we're going to go change type, and we're going to change the type of it to a rigid body 3D. There we go. So I'm going to go into the solver here. I'm going to turn on the contact monitor, set this to free, and the reason as to why is because of the hit_obj function we're going to need to apply. Because basically what the contact monitor does is that makes it so then when our physics body is actually like colliding with stuff, it then can actually send signals to the body entered and body exited signals here. So yeah. Alrighty, so now once you've got your rigid body done, now we're just going to go right click, add child node. Now we're going to add a collision shape. Alrighty, so here we have our collision shape 3D. New box shape. Make this a bit smaller. And then boom. There is our collision for the key. Alrighty, so now that we've got the key done, let's actually go into the house scene again. So I'm actually going to create a child node for the trapdoor. It is going to be an animation player. Just like that, and there we go. I'm going to call this animation open. Alrighty, so now with the trapdoor hinge, I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to set a keyframe for the rotation. Going to create a reset track as well. And then with this open animation, I'm just going to put it to the 1 second mark at the end. Then I'm going to rotate it, rotate this door up like that. In fact, we'll probably just do 90 degrees. Then we'll go keyframe again, and then we're going to set the interpolation mode to cubic, and now let's see how it looks. And there we go. So that is a bit fast. Since this is a bigger door, I want it to move slower. We might do 4 seconds perhaps for the basement door, so we'll just do the 4 second mark. Now let's see. Alright, yeah, I think I like that speed a lot more. So we're going to do 4 seconds for the time it takes for the door to open. So something else which we're going to do is on the hinge here, we're now going to set the door script, just like that. And there we go. So now, I'm pretty sure this should all be ready. Oh, and we need to rename the static body 3D to draw. And there we go. And boom. The only difference, of course, is that we need to actually make sure that this door here is locked. Also, another thing which I forgot to do, I realized, is I forgot to make this here exportable. This is meant to be an exportable variable. So by default, it's meant to equal to false, but you can set it to true if you like. So if you haven't done add export yet at the front of your locked variable in your door script, make sure you do that. And then with your trapdoor, we can now just set that to locked. Need to go into the level scene. I also just realized I need to set the metal fence door here to locked, so I'm going to do that quickly, and there we go. Alrighty, so now that we've got this all set up, all we need to do now is we need to now place the key into the scene, and yeah, need to just randomize the position of it. So I am actually going to add the key into the scene right now. So I'm going to go instantiate a child scene, make it a key scene. There we go. And boom. So right now the key is kind of big, but in order for us to fix that, we are going to have to do the following. So I'm going to go into my key scene here, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab all the child objects here. I'm going to reparent them to a new node 3D. And then we're going to make this node 3D smaller, so I'm going to make sure that the scale is linked up on all the axes. Then we're going to go scale to maybe something like 0.3. Let's just go into the level scene quickly, just to, oh wait a second, I just realized I had the key into the house scene. This is meant to be in the level scene. So let's just re-add it into the level scene. And there we go. So now let's see how big it looks compared to the player reference size. I think this should be a good size. It's looking like it's going to be a good size. And yeah, we can use this, I think, or we can actually make it a bit smaller. Hold on. Make it a bit smaller, maybe 0.2. And yeah, that's a much better size for the key. So now once you've got your scale right, we can just unchild these to this node 3D parent. Then you can get rid of this if you want to. And now everything should all be good with our key. And boom. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to go into our key scene again. Now we're actually going to add in a child node, code paper. There we go. Now what we're going to want to do here is we're going to actually want to connect the hitObj function to the key itself, to the key rigid body itself. So we're going to go into the node section here on the right side of the UI, and then you want to select body entered, double click on it. And then you want to connect up the hit_obj function that we have to this signal here, the body entered signal. And there we go. So now this should pretty much just work how the code paper does. All we need to do now is we just need to add in the randomized positions for it, and hopefully everything works as it should. Alrighty, so now we're going to add in our positions. So let's go ahead and do that. Alrighty, so this is going to have all the exact same random positions as the code paper. Alright, so now I've added in all the random positions to the key. By the way, if you're worried about the key accidentally spawning in the same position as the code paper, one thing which I can suggest for that is to maybe, you know, have different varying random positions if you want to. I am just going to be using the same ones for this tutorial though, since I think it will be fine. You know, there's a bunch of different positions to go to choose from, so the likelihood of them choosing the same position is kinda low, but still it is possible of course, so yeah. Alright, so there is one last thing we need to do, and that's that we need to make sure the key is visible as soon as the scene starts, because I'm pretty sure in the code paper script, I have it here, so then at the very start of the scene, it's then no longer visible, it turns off. So what we're going to do is above this visible equals false line, what we're going to do is we're going to go if name not equal to key. So basically what we're checking here is if the object's name that the script is attached to isn't equal to key, and if the object's name isn't equal to key, then it will be able to go false. However, if the object is called key, it won't be able to turn off, so it will stay visible. Alright, so I was just thinking to myself, alright, so now we should be able to interact with this and it should all be good, but then I realized, oh wait a second, there is still one more thing which we need to do. So here's what that thing is. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new function in the code paper script, and we're going to call this func pickup underscore key. And so what we're going to do here is we're actually going to create a new exportable variable, and we're going to call it door, and this will be of course a node 3D. So now what we're going to do here with our pickup key function is we're going to make it so door.locked equals to false. So basically we're going to make sure that our trapdoor is no longer locked. And then of course what we're going to do is we're then going to do q underscore free, so then the key is no longer in the scene, so then it just gets freed from the scene. So now we're going to need to go into our interaction script. So here's our player interact script. So I'm going to do a new line here, elif hit.name equal to key, and then we're just going to grab the crosshair visible line here, paste it underneath like that, and then with the if input dot is action just pressed, we'll then place it underneath here, and then we're going to go hit dot, and then we're going to do pickup underscore key. So basically when the player looks at an object and it is called key, if the player then interacts with that key, basically we'll be accessing that key, getting the pickup key function, which should then open up our trapdoor and make the key disappear. So hopefully that all does work out as intended. So what we're going to do now is with our key we're going to select it, and then you want to go down to your door here, your door variable, and then you want to select your trapdoor. Oh wait a second, I just realized we'll need to go into the house scene for that. So I'm going to make the children of the house scene editable. And I'm not going to be editing them, that's not the reasons why I'm making them editable. It's just so then I can access the trapdoor, so then I can add it to the key in this scene. So as you can see we have our trapdoor here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find my key again. And now we're going to go add the trapdoor hinge into the door section here, and boom, that should all work out. So now that this is all hopefully done, we can now test it and hopefully it all works. So let's go play, and there we go. So as you can see here, we've got our smoothed out flashlight. Just got to ring the doorbell. Then we can go inside and look for the key. Alright, so as you can see now, when I try open up the trapdoor, we physically can't. Oh, wait a second. I just had an issue happen. Apparently there is no animation player. Oh, I just realized. Okay. Well, now that makes sense. Alrighty guys, so I made a bit of a mistake. So with my my animation player, I'm gonna need to make it a child of the trapdoor hinge. So that should all hopefully still work, and yeah, it does. Alright, I just had to make that a child of the trapdoor hinge. Make sure that your animation player is a child of the trapdoor hinge. That is important for testing. And now we can actually go test again. Oh. And that's another thing too, which I forgot. Damn, looks like I'm forgetting a bunch of stuff today. Alright, so what we need to do here is with our flashlight script, I just remembered. So since our flashlight is no longer a child of the player, we're going to need to grab it from the actual level scene itself. So we're going to go get_tree.current_scene.get_node flashlight. And now that should change the visibility of it. So then we just need to copy that, paste that here, and there we go. So now let's go test again. And now it all works. Yep, there we go. Ring the doorbell. Then just gotta open the door. There we go. Alright, so now we just need to find the key, so then we can actually interact with this this trapdoor. Also, I just realized that I included the basement positions into the key's positions, so hopefully it didn't... Oh, there's the key. It just spawned right there. There we go. Now we can actually take the key. So now once you've taken the key, we can now unlock the trapdoor just like that, and boom. So what I was just saying before was I accidentally included the basement positions for the key. So I'm gonna have to remove them, but luckily it did spawn in the first story instead of the basement. so that is good. But yeah, so now we can open and close the trapdoor as we please. So anyways guys, that is going to be the end of this part. This is going to be the end of part 9. Thank you all for watching. So anyways, if you guys did enjoy, be sure to like, comment and subscribe for more. And I'll be sure to see you all in part 10. And yeah, goodbye.